Bright colours, wild patterns, artists on the dial, even a watch designed by a pig. That's Swatch. But these days, the brand's actually a lot broader.
The Swatch Group is one of the biggest forces in watchmaking in Europe and in the world.
It's valued at over $9 billion, with more than a dozen brands under its umbrella.
150 production sites out of Switzerland, the quintessential Swiss watchmaking company.
The Swatch watch was basically the brainchild of Nicholas Hayek and his team.
And when he launched it, he was credited with changing the perception of Swiss watchmaking and saving the industry. But right now,
the Swatch Group has been under pressure because its performance hasn't been great.
It's now one of the most shorted stocks in Europe. That means investors are betting against it, and it's already trading at a 16-year low. August brought an even greater blow. Swiss watchmaking was suddenly central to an international trade crisis.
The Swiss president is expected to leave Washington without a deal.
They're stuck with that 39% tariff.
It's the highest rate Trump has slapped on any industrial nation.
With all that in mind, and amid criticism of leadership, can Swatch turn its fortunes around? Switzerland means many things to people, but it might be best known for its watches.
Speak of timepieces and you speak of Switzerland.
See?
Watches are so Swiss. It's right up there with chocolate and cheese in terms of how people really view the national identity.
And no more so than 42-year-old Swatch.
The Swatch Group is the biggest watches manufacturer by volume globally, and number 3, if we think about it by retail value, behind Rolex and just behind Richemont Group.
Its brands get everywhere, from 007's wrist,
Your watch.
How strong is it?
to the Peloton, even up here. And it's got lots of brands.
At the very bottom level, there's Swatch, which is very inexpensive. Its sister brand, Flick Flack, which is watches for kids. And then just above that, there's brands like Tissot and Longines, which are middle-range watches. And then as you go up, there's fancier, more rarefied brands. There's Harry Winston, which is watches with lots of diamonds.
There are 2 brands at the very high end, Breguet and Blancpain. And then we run through their biggest brand would be Omega. The biggest part of the Swatch business is its mid-range.
We'll return to this in a tick.
The Seiko quartz gives you accuracy you can see as well as hear, as the second hand moves in precise 1-second intervals.
In the 1980s, in the watchmaking industry, traditional mechanical watchmakers were really falling victim to a craze for very inexpensive quartz watches, which were mostly made out of Japan.
And Seiko was the biggest commercial threat.
And no matter how beautiful and handmade mechanical watches were, it just couldn't be as accurate as these quartz watches, and they were also much more expensive.
Swiss watchmakers weren't equipped to mass produce or compete on price, and the impact was devastating.
We saw 1,600 specialist watchmakers down to 600 over a 10-year period.
Then the Swiss had an idea.
A low-priced watch that could be fun and interchangeable and add an expression to your fashion sense.
Just take the quartz mechanism and Japanese innovation, then mass produce it on your own terms.
So the name Swatch, it doesn't stand for Swiss watch, it stands for second watch.
And there were thousands of them, including that one from Old MacDonald's finest. Sure, they told the time, but really they told the world who you were.
This was huge. Swatch was incredibly well received by consumers globally.
Launched in 1983, Swatch sold over 1 million of them in the first year.
Swatch, the new wave of Swiss watches.
By the early 90s, sales soared to about 20 times that annually. The company used that momentum to revive some of its struggling high-end brands and acquire new ones.
It provided a financial base to support other companies and traditional mechanical watchmaking, because suddenly tons of people were running out to buy these colorful, fun watches to add to their collection, and it really turned around the prospects for not just the Swatch Group, but of the whole Swiss watchmaking industry.
Decades later, the market's changed. Smartphones and smartwatches have chipped away at the lower end range, leaving luxury as the main engine for growth. You can see that trend here. The volume of low-end watches sold, represented in orange, has been on the decline. The impact is even more striking when analysed by value. Luxury watches, shown in blue, account for an increasingly bigger share of revenue compared to low and mid-range watches. That evolution hasn't favoured Swatch, given its plethora of mid-range brands, and its recent troubles run deeper. Profit was down almost 90% in the first half of 2025. A few things explained this. First, China.
The market in China has really softened.
The spending slump hit luxury brands across the board, but mid-market Swatch more than most. In 2024, Asia made up 53% of its sales, with China alone accounting for 27%.
Brands in the mid-range have struggled more than those at the very high end or the lower end. We've seen a lowered consumer sentiment globally, so it's been a double whammy for the Swatch Group versus its high-end luxury peer group. There is a hope that the company can do better on the back of China really starting to see a little bit more improvement, but it's very slow and gradual improvement.
The luxury sector is facing almost a perfect storm at the moment, and it's not clear whether US consumers will ride to the rescue because they're facing pressures.
Which brings us to the second big challenge. In August, the US imposed a 39% tariff on imports from Switzerland, steeper than the 31% it had previously threatened.
These are one of the highest rates the US has imposed on the entire world.
This came as a complete surprise to the Swiss.
Tariffs are a big headache for the luxury sector, particularly Swiss watches. Any kind of increase in the price is unhelpful. Over the last 5 years, luxury companies have all put up their prices. That gives them less wiggle room for further increases.
These are two serious external headwinds, but they aren't the only reasons for Swatch looking scuffed. Remember Nicholas Hayek? Now his son runs the business, and his daughter chairs the board. The family and related parties control 44% of the voting rights, and they've had, at times, a tempestuous relationship with shareholders.
It doesn't particularly engage with investors in the same way as other groups. It's really run as a private company.
So why not do that? They floated the idea, but...
The problem is how. To do that, any buyer, whether it's private equity, would have to take on a lot of debt.
Some investors have tried to force changes.
The company's super conservatively structured, so a bit of external help can go a long way in improving the execution here.
Stephen Wood, an activist investor, attempted to win a seat on the board. He was defeated, but he's challenging the outcome. Activist campaigns in luxury are quite unusual, and this just underlines the frustration among investors with the Swatch Group.
Swatch has responded to criticism from analysts and investors by saying the industry shouldn't be focused exclusively on the wealthy. Swatch has managed to create more mainstream buzz as recently as 2022.
The Moonswatch was a version of Omega's flagship model, the Moonwatch, which is a Speedmaster that was worn on 6 moon missions. And it became very popular. And they sold more than 1 million of the original versions, and they expected to sell something like 500,000. So it was a huge difference for the bottom line for the company.
Of course, we knew this is a bomb, but that it was such an overwhelming success, yes, that was a surprise.
Trouble was, this was an exception.
Swatch has a little bit fallen out of the conversation in terms of making exciting new product that appeals to young people, being really relevant when it comes to the right spokespeople, using the right influencers. They just aren't really making a lot of products that are like really getting people jazzed up.
Some of that comes down to its isolation from other brands.
Swatch owns most of its own stores, and so it doesn't need to show stuff to retailers the way that other brands do. That kind of split them off from the storytelling of the rest of the industry.
The Swatch Group still commands a powerful name and rich heritage, but heritage alone doesn't sell watches.
So much of Watchmaking is based on perception, and you really have to have people think that not only is your watch well made, not only is it beautiful, but also it's cool and it's coveted and it has a story behind it.